The incredible writer and journalist Frank Bruni is here with me, and I have so much to talk to him about with the cocktails you made for me. Thank you.
My
That's a nice way to start the day.
It'll grease the conversation, right?
If I don't fall asleep first.
Me too.
You've written everything. You've written restaurant reviews, you've written memoirs, you've written New York Times columns, you were the White House correspondent, you were the Rome bureau chief. Do you have the reader in mind? Are you like speaking to them?
I think I have the audience in mind to the extent that I don't want to make a bunch of references that are so arcane.
Yeah, that's really smart.
People consume so many different kinds of culture now. Like if I make a reference to Kramer on Seinfeld, you and I will get that. My students at Duke, they would have no idea what I was talking about, right?
Of Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, there's no water cooler shows anymore. There's no water cooler, and there are no water cooler shows.
Yeah. You wrote a wonderful book called Born Round. It's about the relationship of family and food. What made you decide to write it?
I wrote it because born round, I grew up as a fat kid. And I struggled with weight and body issues my whole life. And to just also say something about how complicated people's relationship with food is.
And growing up in an Italian family, how was food important in the family?
Well, that was part of the problem. Food was love. You know, when I went to see my grandmother, the way she told me how much she loved me was to cover the table with food. It was just like, I want you to know how limitless my love is. Lovely, but not the best generator of good habits, right?
And you moved to Rome,
Yeah.
And everything changed.
And
what changed in Italy?
And I lost. What changed in part was portions. Italians really have a very healthy relationship with food. They don't eat 3 huge meals a day. They eat in limited portions. I think all of that helped. And I think I was happy. Happiness helps.
So you're working in Rome as the New York Times bureau chief, and you get a phone call to come to New York to be the restaurant critic. What did you think?
Yeah, they said, so I got a call one day saying, would you have any interest in being our next restaurant critic? And it's sort of like, was that a crank call? And I said, why are you coming to me? And they had an interesting idea about it. They had a sequence of restaurant critics who were really steeped in food.
Yeah.
And they wanted to see what it would be like if someone who knew something about food and was a restaurant lover, but if someone came at it from more of a kind of generalist viewpoint. And I thought, you know what, if they're confident, I'm going to go give it a try. And it was 5.5 years.
You know, I had a specialty food store for a long time, and I thought when people walked in the door, I thought it was really important for them to feel good. There was, on the counter, there was coffee waiting for you. You could help yourself. There was great music. I remember one time the phone rang. It was Marvin Hamlish. And he's got, oh, what's that music you're playing? I'm like, Marvin, you wrote it. It's chorus line.
He just wanted to hear you say it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. He knew exactly what it was. So what's a good restaurant experience that was unique to you? Like, how did the restaurant make people feel good?
I think the way a restaurant makes you feel good is to recognize you when you come in. I mean, to have a little conversation with you that makes it clear this is not simply a business transaction, this is almost akin to family. I go to the same places over and over again because I like the relationship, you know?
Somebody asked James Beard what his favorite restaurant was, and he said, it's the same as yours. It's the one where they love me the most,
Yeah.
which is actually exactly right. I'd love to talk about your wonderful book, The Beauty of Dusk, which is really about your experience waking up one day and you can't see in one eye, and it turns out you'd had a stroke.
When this happens to you, this particular condition I have, you live forevermore with a 20% chance that will happen in the other eye. And so as I sit here with you now, I live with a 20% chance that I will go blind. But all of us live with some sort of sword dangling over us.
Well,
I need another sip of this. I'm being so grim. But I don't mean this grim. I don't mean this grim.
But that's what's amazing about it, is that you approached it, I'm assuming, like a reporter.
I did. I began to talk to everyone around me about the struggles they'd been through, ones that I knew about but had never talked to them about the struggles they didn't tell us about. And I quickly realized that every single person out there, me, you, has really difficult stuff that they have struggled with. When you realize that, there's a strange kind of comfort in it, and it means you can't do the one thing that is most dangerous, which is pity yourself. Because you're not having a particularly unlucky experience, you're having the human experience.
Yeah. I love what you wrote. I went to bed with more grievances than I could count, and I woke up with more gratitude than I could measure. How gorgeous is that?
I don't know if it's gorgeous, but it's true. And so in that sense, what happened to me has been a bit of a gift.
Isn't that incredible? So I understand you like to learn how to make an omelet. Does that
I
sound good?
need to learn how to make an omelet. My omelets fall apart.
I researched how Jacques Pepin, who was the famous French chef, makes an omelet. He was the private chef to Charles de Gaulle.
Wait, so
that's what I'm gonna show
are you telling me you boned up on omelet making
I
just for
did.
me? Wow, psyched to see this.
I'll drink to that.
All right.